Hi, this is Dr. Linda Davis, and today I want to work on Excel, some basic Excel. We're going to do a table and then do a graph based on that table. My company name is Warrior Citrus, so I'm going to go to B3 and type in Warrior Citrus, and we'll come back and format everything later. Now I have my subtitle here, and this is going to be a boxes per acre analysis. And my third line here is dedicated to the time range. Sometimes it's a week, a month, 10 years, whatever the case may be. In our case today, it's going to be the fall harvest for 2011. And now I can start the actual body of the table. And I have some given information here. So I'm going to start off with the block name. And the block name we're going to be working with is Reedy, Pitt, Blocker, Hampton, and Silver. Now, in the second column, the column title is going to be acres. And I know it does bleed over from block name to acres, and I'll show you in a minute how to fix block name so it stacks on top of itself. Now for acres, that column heading there, I'm going to have these values in here for the various properties that we've already listed. And then the third column, I'm going to have boxes harvested. Again, that one's really going to bleed over into the next column, but that's okay. I'll fix that in just a minute. And let me put the values in. All right, now let's make it a little prettier so we can understand it somewhat better. Block name, that bleeds over. So what I'm going to do is go into alignments. And under the alignment tab here, under format cells, if you right click, it's format cells, then pick alignment, and then wrap text. And while it's being squeezed right here, that will stack one name over the other. So block will be on top of name. So I say OK, and notice how it stacks it nicely. Acres is okay as it is. Boxes harvested, however, has the same problem. So I can, like I said, this time I can do it differently. I can right click, go to format cells. Same screen shows up, alignment tab, go down to text control. You want to select wrap text. I always tell my students, remember, wrap rhymes with stack, and you're stacking those words. So say OK. And that takes care of that. Now in this particular problem, we're trying to calculate boxes per acre. It is a boxes per acre analysis up here. So I'm just going to have a BPA column. And I'm going to have to create a bit of a formula here so that it will calculate boxes per acre. And P obviously is for per. Per, when you talk about that in a word problem, means to divide. So boxes per acre. So let me just calculate this for the Reedy block first. And I'll have to start off, of course, anytime you're going to calculate with Excel, you have to show Excel the equal sign. So I'll put the equal sign in, and then we'll have Excel calculate this for the Reedy block, and we'll say boxes harvested divided by the number of acres. Okay, so I can just click to make that happen, or I can type in D7, that's fine, divided by C7, because we always use cell names. Observe it, make sure it's right. When you're ready for it to calculate, hit enter on your keyboard, and that calculates it. Obviously gives me a few more decimals than I really want, and I'll fix that later. And then the nice thing is with Excel, you don't have to keep repeating the formula in every single cell. I can just drag this formula down and have it apply that same formula to these different values all the way down for the different properties. So let me take my cursor and go to the bottom corner of where the calculation lives and just get the skinny plus on there. Hold your mouse button down and pull that down, and it will apply that same formula to these different rows. Real time saver. Now, let's go down here, and I thought we'd throw in a total. So we can add up all our acres, we can add up all our boxes harvested, and that requires a different formula. Again, start with equals. We're going to add up. That's called the sum function. Equals sum parenthesis, and then you put in the range of cells you want it to add up. So in this case, I want to start in C7, add all the way to C11. So C7, C11, end of parentheses, look it over. Is that what you want to add? If it is, hit enter. That totals up your acres. Now, the cool thing is you can also drag across, apply that same formula by having it add up this column of values. So I can take the skinny plus at the bottom corner where the calculation lives, pull it over, and it adds up all this. And if you look up here in your formula bar, you notice that it says equals sum D7 colon D11, which it just applied it to this column of values. Now, wouldn't make sense to copy that over here. I don't need to add up boxes per acre kind of calculation. Instead, I could take total boxes harvested divided by total acres and come up with some kind of average boxes per acre. So to do that, I would just pull from this formula the boxes per acre to get some kind of average going on there. Now, not real pretty, but it's all there pretty much. Formatting wise, I can take all my numbers, say, you know, let's just make it whole numbers. I don't care about pieces of a box when it relates to oranges. It's not money. It doesn't need to be down to pennies or anything like that. So, home tab, number, the little arrow next to number. Tell it it's a number and not just general. So it's numbers. Decimal places, I'm going to keep it to whole numbers, which means I need to take that and put a 0 there. Now, some of my values are over 999, so I need the thousand separator. So I'm going to check mark that as well. And there's your negative numbers choice if you have any of that going on. Say okay, just cleans it up a bit. And also, I'm ready to do some formatting. So, Warrior Citrus, I want to center that across those columns. So, I have a new tool called Merge and Center. So, I'm going to highlight across however many columns I need to. And then I'm going to go up to Home tab, Merge and Center, and click on Merge and Center. Do it one row at a time. It doesn't want to do it for multiple rows. And I'm just doing that for my first 3 lines. Now, I want to put some borders in. But not everything, just the column headings and what follows these borders. So I'm going to go up here and say thick box border for that one. So highlight what you want to put a border around and then select your border tool, which obviously was home, and then pick your choice of borders. There's lots of them. I only use thick box border and bottom border for these problems for this semester. Now I want to put some sub borders in here. So I'm going to highlight my column headings and just pick a bottom border to go under there. Notice how it shows up here. I'm also going to go highlight silver because that's the last piece of regular data, and I'm going to put a bottom border there too, so it separates my regular data from my total data. Also, I'd like to shade some things, so let's take the column headings and shade them in just a nice shade of gray. It's fine. Go to fill color and under the home tab, and let's just pick a gray. If some people want to shade totals or analysis data, that's fine too. And at this point, Warrior Citrus, I tend to always keep to the same font for my company names, so I will use a Bookman Old Style. Let me click down to that one, since I've used that all semester for that particular company. Bookman Old Style, bold, and for tables, we like to use an 18 size point font, I should say. Now, that looks decent, and that's how you do the table part. Now, I'm going to take my view back down to 100% because I'm going to get ready to do the graph. And this is going to be a simple column graph based on what we have here. Now, I can see right now boxes harvested got a little cut off. So let me widen that column a little bit. Now, just to let me go back up to my zoom rate for just a second. I'm going to show you this. Anytime anything gets too pinched, like 162,000, big number. Sometimes they're a lot bigger than that. But anyway, if it gets crowded, and I want to show you what happens. If it gets crowded, you're going to get error messages. That error message right there with the number symbols means that your column is not wide enough to hold the number or to display the number. So you just need to go up here to your column widths and expand that out, and then it will show. Obviously, my D got kind of separated from harvested, so I'm going to widen it just a little bit more so my D can join up now. It looks better. One other thing I did not do, I should have, is my alignments of my paragraph or my column headings are not aligned correctly. Block names okay. It sits nicely on top of the block names. Text always hugs the left as well it should. Acres hugs the left, but I have numbers underneath that must hug the right. So acres, I'm going to move it to the left. So I'm going to go back home and say align text to the right. Boxes harvested, again align text right because it has numbers underneath. Boxes per acre. and we'll align that again for align text right because it has numbers underneath that must hug the right. All right, so that's a little bit neater. I got a little extra space here. I can probably narrow up that column just a bit. And then I want to do a simple column graph. So my column graph, I'm going to do a boxes per acre. So immediately by looking at the graph, you can tell with the column graph that which block is producing the least amount per acre and which is producing the most boxes per acre. So the way to do that, I can highlight, oh, one more thing. Let me get this done. Highlight column A, and this will help set it up for printing out. Highlight column A, just click on the A, it highlights the whole column. Hold control down, highlight column F, and that's just the, the next available column with nothing in it. And then I'm going to take and widen column A, and column F should get wider too. Let me go back to my views, which should be back to 100% now. And let me keep widening column A. So it's just A through F on the screen. That helps me get my table centered on the screen just for printing purposes when I have a graph underneath it, as you'll see in a minute. Now, what to pick? Let's pick this is for the graph. We have to tell the graph what it is we want in it. We want the 5 property names only, so highlight that. Now, because your data doesn't physically touch, I want BPA values. So I'm going to hold control down, select the 5 BPA values, boxes per acre, remember, and I'm going to go to insert, and I'm going to say insert column, and that's a 2D column graph will be fine. And as soon as you ask for a 2D column, there it is, boom, and pull it down, pull it over, leave a couple of rows blank in between. Get a little further there. Now, I like to resize my graph at this point. It's like an image. You can resize it. And before I resize it though, let me just get it to where I scroll down to where I see only the graph. And I'll make it kind of big, not as big as good, but edge to edge. Oops, I think it went a little too far. Sometimes it can get away from you. See, I went a little too far. At 100% zoom, you want it to pretty much fill your screen. Let me go just a little bit wider here. Just don't touch the edge and you'll be all right. Now, a lot of formatting going on with this because it's not done yet. I want to get rid of the grid lines. I'm going to activate the grid lines for this one, and then see the little circles at the end of each grid line. Just hit delete. That makes them go away. I also want to change the plot area. Plot area is this white background you see right now, but I'm going to change that to a different color. I'm going to pick a soft gray for that. Probably that one. Okay. Makes it stand out just a little bit more. For one series of data, I really don't need the legend, so I'm going to delete the legend just like it's a text box. And I'm also going to insert a title up here, so I'm going to go to Chart Tools is lit up, so just go to Layout, look for Chart Title. Above Charts, what I like to use. It just puts you a little text box in there, and you can call it anything you want, but I've got to call it Warrior Citrus. And the next line will be boxes per acre, analysis, and the time period was fall harvest 2011. And format this. This is going to be Bookman like we did before. And it's on the chart, it's actually 16 bold. Now, boxes per acre, that's just regular font size. That can just be Calibre size. 12 or whatever. Now, the rest of this graph, actually blow it up to size 18. Makes it stand out a little better, but I probably need to go back and reset that since I just destroyed it. Okay, Bookman, yes. 16, there we go. And that needs to be not so big. Like I said, let's take it down to 12. Looks a little small. Let's bounce it up just a little bit more. All right. Now, a couple more things. We want to add a y-axis title. So again, with your chart tools, go to Layout, and you can just say, I need an axis title. It's going to ask you which one, horizontal or vertical. I want a vertical one. And then from there, it's going to ask you some more questions. Well, vertical title's fine. Just kind of sticks it in there like that, and then you can put your own words in there, of course. And I'm just going to call this BPA, and I'll just get rid of the extra letters. If you need to scoot it over, if it gets too jammed up in here, you can click on the plot area and just, pull it that way or pull it this way, either way. Also, because you need to let people know what your y-axis values really mean. And of course, the x-axis values are kind of self-explanatory. I mean, you could say property name or something like that if you needed to. Now, I want to change the colors of my different columns. If I click once, it activates all the different columns, right? But I want to make each an individual color. So I'm going to click one more time, and that isolates that particular column. So I can go up here and to my paint bucket and just start picking different shades. Maybe one's red, and I'll click over here and make another one green. Hampton can be nice orange, and silver could be black. Now, another nice thing you can do too is if you want the actual values, the boxes per acre values to set on top or within the columns, you can go back to layout, chart tools layout, and pick data labels. And you can kind of see, I tend to use outside in. Do that again, outside end. And that will plant the actual values at the top of each column. And you can say inside and have them plant them inside. You can also just grab them and pull them, pull it where you want it to be, just individually. So I'll leave mine out like that though. And change the color of them, format them, whatever you need to do. So the chart's obviously looking better. Now for my students, I like for them to insert a text box down in the bottom left corner, just to have their name in there and their particular course name, which is just a 101 course, and some way that identifies it. Might make it up to size 12 though. If I do that, I probably need to don't really want it to get in the way of. Sometimes it's kind of a, and then just move it around if you need to move it over a little bit to the edge. Okay, or down. Now, if you can also insert text boxes to say whatever you want to say to point out, like Hampton's getting the lowest boxes per acre or Silver's getting the highest boxes per acre, whatever your purpose might be. So I'm going to insert another text box and just plant it up here. And I'll probably leave the background white, and I'll say I'll change it to white. I can say Silver has the highest BPA at 1,000. Okay, now I did say white. Okay, and just size it up. And if you want to make it bigger, that's fine. Just hit your bigger button there, and maybe make it just 2 lines, and then shrink it up a little bit that way. Also, I can insert a shape. I can have an arrow point at that particular column. So I can just go like that. And then go to shape outline to make it, black, and to also go back to shape outline to make the weight 3-point. So whatever you need to point out to your audience, that's a helpful way to do it. If I want the maybe the shape outline, I want to make the weight of that column maybe stand out a little bit more too, or weight of that text box, I should say. Now, at this point, that's your table and that's your graph based on that table. And if we also want to look at it in preview, go to File, Print, and obviously that doesn't look so hot right there, but the thing you need to remember to do is go in, let's see now, make sure your portrait or landscape, that's always important. Portrait's where we should be on this one, and fit sheet on one page, and changing that, it forces it to fit on the one page. and makes it better for printing. Okay, so does make your table kind of small, but you might want to work with that a little bit more. And that completes on how to do a table and graph in Excel. Thank you.